I am Bryce Newberger, and this is the Kinship Chronicles, Children of the Phoenix, Chapter 23. Dawn crested the horizon, then radiated into early morning. The hot breath of the sun condensed the dew into a light mist that hung like a low fog over the grass. Cal had lain awake for most of the night. He thought about doorknobs, the destroyed building, and most of all, he thought of the burning, dying terror. Cal knew for certain now that he was a magician. He had waited all night for a good time to talk to the magic stranger. He knew he just had to wait for morning. In the time between, his mind darkly pondered revenge for his family. His thought process wasn't very coherent. He knew he had made the evil naked man go away permanently, and that felt right. He wanted to chase that feeling, but he knew he would first need this stranger to show him the secrets of magic. Dazon stretched his limbs and began to pack up camp when the boy spoke. "You're a mage." Dazon gave a heckled laugh, as if their punchline to a secret joke had hit him just right. "Solid Inquisition work, young one, but I'm no mage." Cal frowned at the beat-up man's mockery. Undeterred, he spoke once more. "I am a mage." Again, the swollen face of the man contorted into a painful expression of humorous glee. He spat with his chortle. "No, boy. You are gifted, but that makes you no mage. That just makes you dangerous. You'll have to make sure to hide that when we get to the orphanage, or they won't take you." "Orphanage?" Cal thought in silence. "No! You have to train me. I'll be your apprentice." Dazon turned away from the boy and continued to pack up camp. "That will only get you killed," he stated flatly. "That's why you have to train me." Dazon turned his face back towards Cal, and the fury there startled the boy. "Listen to me. That is never going to happen." Cal soured and turned back away from the scary stranger. The afternoon drug on as the two slogged their way across the forest plains. Cal had never been this far away from home before. Home. That word didn't have the same meaning as it did the day before. Now it meant anguish, loss, and remembrance. Cal snapped his attention back to the stranger. He was afraid of losing this man now as well. He was the last object, as foreign as he may be, to his home. This man also represented justice to Cal. Learning to use magic seemed like something he deserved. He looked at his fingers and began to snap. No fire was produced at the click of his fingers, yet he tried again and again. Dazon remained silent. His mind was drifting. He wouldn't tell the boy, but he had been leading them in one large circle for a while now. This boy could be his apprentice, a fail-safe to leave behind if he were to fail his mission or die. He had raw potential, that was for sure, but so did many other young, promising children. He had run into this boy a few times already. Was it fate? Dazon couldn't help but feel a sense of responsibility for the child, and shook his head as if flinging thoughts off like water from wet hair. He looked back at the path and stopped. There, in front of him, stood Frederick, his recently executed apprentice. Dazon wagged his head again. This lack of sleep was getting to him. He looked back at the boy. He was snapping his fingers over and over, clearly expecting his hand to turn into a torch. "Hey, boy! I said forget your magic dreams. If you scare the orphanage away from taking you, I am still going to leave you there on the doorstep." Cal just returned the comments with a sullen frown. They traveled in that manner for the better part of a day until the sun was begging to be drug off as twilight approached. Andrew scratched his head listlessly as the purple sky bled into the light blue like a stain spreading into linen. He had a long shift all day at Eagle's Guadair Gate. This town lay just a little inland from Ridgewood, strategically crested at the top of a forest mountain. It acted as the official outpost of their fine kingdom. No one really ever came to this town. It was small, military, and out of the way of normal consumer traffic. It was surprising to him then when a man in a dark cloak and a raggedy-looking boy trekked their way up his hill and into his gate. He opened the portcullis and inquired suspiciously, "Oi, what brings you unlikely pair?" The dark man replied, "I found this orphan outside the borders of Ridgewood. His family is dead. I brought him here to the orphanage." The guard looked at the pouty 6-year-old with a heavy expression. "So the rumors were true. I had hoped the other boy was just a regular lad lost in the forest." He let out a sigh. Cal caught the phrase, "the other boy." He wasn't sure what that man had meant. Was it possibly someone else was here from his town? Eldrich? Teddy? He didn't allow himself to hope. The guard spoke again. "Come on in, then. Let's get this lad somewhere safe." In a matter of moments, he had them through the gate and directed to the orphanage. Andrew wasn't sure what made him sadder. The fact that he saw the orphan boy, or the fact that with the whole town destroyed, there were only 2 survivors he had seen despite the other boy. Cal sat in a rickety wooden chair, staring at his feet as the stranger had a hushed conversation with a kindly old lady. This place seemed large from the outside, but on the inside all the walls were crammed close together, probably to fit more rooms in for the various children and staff staying there. Dazon finished his conversation and walked past the boy without giving him a second glance. Cal watched him walk away. His last strings to his old town were finally cut. It was then that reality set in, and Cal began to cry again. It didn't stop. The next morning he found himself in an uncomfortable bed with his head under covers. Other strange children milled about as the mistress came in and prompted them to arise for breakfast. Cal wasn't hungry. He refused to participate in this new life. He wanted this charade to end. Teddy would rush in any moment now and jump on him, as he always did when he had overslept. He could hear the children being pushed out of the large dorm room. Only 2 other vague presences remained which Cal couldn't make out through the blanket. "Off to breakfast with you, big one," said the kindly mistress to the other figure. A heavy-sounding voice talked back. "Please, Mum, I think I know him. He's from my town." Cal's heart began to beat a few steps faster. He recognized this voice. "All right," agreed the mistress. "Try to convince him to come down for breakfast. If you can't, I'll come up to him. Don't push him too hard. He hasn't adjusted to things as well as you have." The door closed as their footsteps resounded further and further away. The 2 children were alone in the room. Silence hung in the air like a conversation all of its own. The heavy-accented voice spoke to Cal. "Ridgewood, eh? I figured I would have known them wimpy cries anywhere." The covers were rudely thrust back from Cal as he came face to face with Ox. Cal scampered up the bed like an insect avoiding a swatter. His back met the bedpost as his tears were freshly renewed. "Looks like we're roomies," said Ox through a wolfish visage. Thank you for listening. I'm Bryce Newberger, and this has been the Kinship Chronicles, Children of the Phoenix. If you enjoyed what you heard and you'd like to purchase the full book, then either look up New Books on the Google Play bookstore, NEU Books, or simply click the link in the description. The book is only $5, and I appreciate your support.